Let's talk about 4 ways to drive growth in 2024. In our research of over 700 companies, in partnership with OpenView, we've clearly seen a rise in focus on the less sexy side of SaaS growth. Operational levers that don't usually get the airtime of acronyms like AI or PLG or ABM. And we're calling this the rise of the operator. And what follows are the 4 areas to focus on as we approach next year. Historically, US SaaS companies have waited to expand internationally until relatively late in their life cycle. Expanding abroad was seen as costly and complicated, and that's still the case today. But the new wave of product-led SaaS companies are international by default. And as the US market slows and international markets mature rapidly, selling internationally can give a huge boost in revenue. Product-led startups are always on for customers to discover, try, and buy, regardless of location. And when it comes to internationalization, you really can take a few different approaches. Cosmetic localization, simply changing your currency symbols to adapt to buyers from different countries, or true localization, localizing pricing based on willingness to pay. For example, the Nordics are willing to spend more than South America. And when we look at benchmark data, 50% of companies aren't adjusting their prices based on location at all, and only 38% adjust based on local willingness to pay. You can be an outlier by monetizing effectively everywhere you sell. When money was cheap, overheads were not really under scrutiny, but now every cost line is subject to an efficiency imperative. And one of these is the cost of finance, tax, and compliance, your payments infrastructure. According to our benchmark data, we found that 1 out of every 5 companies are spending 10% or more of their ARR on finance, tax, compliance. That's an extremely high cost, often higher than the hosting that supports your software product. And on the other side of the graph, only 29% of respondents are paying under 4%. Sales tax and compliance is extremely complicated, and it often results in high costs as you sell across country and state lines. And product-led businesses face this complexity much earlier in their growth journey. Of course, we'd say this, but using a merchant of record like Paddle to replace your payments infrastructure can reduce costs. Our internal customer data shows by up to half. Going back to the benchmark data, the most alarming statistic we found is that 27% of respondents just didn't track the cost of their finance tax compliance. By keeping track of your overheads, you're able to make more informed decisions about your spend and, in turn, your efficiency. Particularly in product-led growth or international businesses, another overlooked lever is the impact of payment methods. Your customers will prefer different methods, and you're suppressing conversion rates if you don't dive into the detail. Companies based in the US tend to expect customers from all over the world to pay in the same way that they do, but that's just not the case. Germany loves PayPal, China loves Alipay, the Netherlands love Ideal. With only 4% of the Chinese market preferring credit cards, trying to sell a product in China, a credit card-only option will result in you leaving money on the table. It turns out that only 13% of companies are offering PayPal, 9% offer Apple Pay, and the international markets using Ideal and Alipay are almost guaranteed to be left out. By including a wide range of payment methods, you can satisfy your customers' individual needs and drive efficient revenue growth. Pricing and packaging is one of the fastest and cheapest ways to impact your revenue growth. The median impact from changing pricing was a 14% increase on net dollar retention among expansion stage software companies. What's positive is that 78% of respondents are actively changing either pricing or packaging. That's a great first step. But the data shows that the majority of companies who changed their pricing just conducted a short internal analysis less than a month. Hit us up if you'd like to understand how simple quantitative studies can give you real customer willingness to pay data. We can also send you our free guide to pricing strategy. As an operator, doing more with less means making smart, data-informed decisions and knowing where you stand. This is crucial to help guide you towards efficient growth. Check out this video on the screen to get a ton more data and information to help you become an outlier and a true operator.